Hello, I am Professor Kino, and welcome to my Office of Cinematic Antiquity. Today we will be talking about when the first Wreck-It Ralph movie came out back in 2012, I saw it on a whim, and I was floored by how creative and engaging it was. All the little Easter eggs in it felt so rich, and the world that it created was imaginative and wondrous. I loved everything about it. So, when I heard that they were making a sequel, I was very excited. So of course I saw it opening day, and here are my thoughts. Premise. After Vanellope von Schweetz's arcade game Sugar Rush breaks, she and Ralph venture into the internet in order to find the piece needed to fix it so that their home, the Litwick arcade, can go back to normal. Writing. What this sequel does excellently, which is actually something rare for a sequel to do, is expand on the ideas and world of its predecessor. It is often easy for well-loved first films to get a sequel that feels like a near step-by-step rehash of what made the original great. But this is not the case here. While we start off the film in familiar territory with the Litwick arcade and a bunch of familiar faces, Ralph, Vanellope, Felix, Calhoun, the Sugar Rush characters, Sonic, Zangief, etc., the film soon takes us out of our comfort zone and into uncharted territory, the internet. And while this does come at the expense of leaving some characters behind for the majority of the story, such as the well-loved Felix and Calhoun, it gives us the time we need to explore our new environment, and the filmmakers did a great job at doing just that. The way that the internet is brought to life, whether through the main plotline, small cameos and Easter eggs, or fantastic passing visuals, makes it all fun to experience. Now, as for the story itself, the beat-by-beat moments feel very much like a tour through the newly expanded world of the film, and while at times it feels like the movie is purposefully structured in a way to get us from one location to another, it is all interwoven with some great themes of insecurity, friendship, and following your dreams that makes it engaging despite the plot's at times linear trajectory. Now, as for the characters themselves, the newcomers are all great additions to the canon, from Knowsmore aka Autofill to Yes aka the YouTube trending algorithm to JP Spamley aka pop-up ads. Everyone is an excellent personification of the part of the internet that they represent. Additionally, the new video game characters that we run into, namely the cool street racing Shank and her crew, act as excellent counterparts to Vanellope and Ralph that serve to push the latter two's characterizations forward. And as for the returning characters, the two that get the most attention are Ralph and Vanellope, both of which are expanded upon nicely. Although I should mention that some of the decisions made by Ralph do make him a little more unlikable than he was in the first film. While in the original Ralph made some questionable decisions, he eventually righted himself beautifully. In this film, he does one or two very deplorable things that, while he does overcome them in the end and in hindsight were very in character, I felt that he was forgiven a little too easily. Nevertheless, the film is still a fun ride and a great expansion to the original. Acting. The voice acting here, just like in the first film, is stupendous. Because of their unique voices, John C. Reilly and Sarah Silverman are the perfect Ralph and Vanellope. While I do think that Vanellope gets more to work with, they both deliver lines that are emotional and humorous, despite the jokes not always landing. And as for the newcomers, Gal Gadot is perfect as the tough and beautiful street racer Shank. Taraji P. Henson is superb as the stylish YouTube algorithm AI Yes. Alan Tudyk makes a nice return as the auto-filling Knowsmore, and Bill Hader is wonderfully able to humanize pop-up ads with JP Spamley. And on top of all these is a plethora of wonderful cameos, from all the voice actresses of the Disney princesses returning to voice their characters again, even Kelly MacDonald returns as Merida from Brave, to Anthony Daniels delivering a line as C-3PO, to Michael Giacchino returning as the Force Awakens Stormtrooper F13181, to even more. It's all wonderful. Typically next up would be costumes, hair, and makeup, but since this is an animated film, that doesn't really exist, so instead I will replace it with character design. All the characters here are beautifully imagined, from Ralph's classic and simplistic overalls to Vanellope's little candy details like her Twizzler hairband, licorice stockings, and Reese's peanut butter cup skirt, to Yes's ever-changing outfit, including her fantastic fiber-optic cable jacket, to JP Spamley's sleazy-looking street vendor garments. Every character, major and minor, looks like they had a lot of time and effort put into their design. Set design. It is great to see how the Wreck-It Ralph team brought the internet to life within their cinematic world. From the biggest websites like Amazon, eBay, and Google, to the film's own version of YouTube, to the perfectly imagined look of the darknet/deep web, the sets here are great, and it's lovely to see how they all mesh with the already excellent sets at the Litwick arcade, i.e. the Power Strip and all the various arcade games. Choreography. While I don't think that the action is as good or creative as the first films, it is still well done enough to be entertaining and fun. It is just that, for example, Slaughter Race's street racing theme never felt as creative as Sugar Rush's candy theme. It was still good, just not as fun and imaginative. Cinematography. This film, like with all the animated Disney films, looks wonderful. There are expansive angles that capture huge structures and streets, and close angles that show off all the details of individual characters. Every shot is crammed with so many details. From seeing all the little parts of the Twitter tree, Amazon building, or Pinterest gallery, to being able to see all the details of Yes's office plus all the individual pulsing fiber optic cables in her jacket, this film looks gorgeous. Editing. The nicely paced story scenes here are interlinked with plenty of little glimpses of the internet setting and cameos that help keep the film moving and expand the world. None of it becomes overbearing or distracting, so in the end, the editing services both the story and the world building simultaneously. It's well done. CGI. Considering that the whole movie is animated, the CGI here is very important, and being from Disney means that it is of course fantastic. This film looks amazing, from the vibrant and lively colors of the sets, to the perfectly captured minutiae of facial expressions, to all the little details placed everywhere. This film is beautiful. Music. From the great original score that captures the modern technological setting of the film, to the fun cameos of other iconic franchise themes such as the Imperial March from Star Wars, to the fantastic song Zero by the perfectly chosen Imagine Dragons,
Hello, let me tell you what it's like to be a zero. Let me show you what it's like to always feel like I'm empty and there's nothing really real. I'm looking for a way.
to a fun and unique Disney princess song by Vanellope herself,
I am rhyming, my spirit's climbing, as I'm called through this fog of mace, to this place called Slaughter Race.
The music here is wonderful. Direction. Rich Moore and Phil Johnson returned to the helm of this film, and it is clear that they had a great time expanding the world and characters that they created. While I think that they got maybe a little carried away with making the film meta to the extent that it feels a little too self-aware of what it is, the way that everything is realized is entertaining. While I don't think that they completely recapture the imagination and soul of the original, they came pretty close, and in the end made a suitable sequel that showcases that these characters and this world can be expanded upon nicely. Miscellaneous. I just wanted to add that there are two after-credit scenes, one at the midway point and one at the very end. While neither of them is important for the story, they are both fun little jokes that play with the internet theme, so if you are interested in seeing them both, make sure to stay to the very end. My enjoyment. I liked it, although not as much as the first. While it does a great job at expanding the mythos of this world of living video games and code, I just didn't find it as creative and wondrous as the original. But don't get me wrong, there is plenty of creativity on display here, and the experience as a whole is a blast. It's just that because the story feels a little too rigidly structured, and because some of the downright mean decisions made by Ralph himself, I have to place this installment just a step down from its predecessor. However, I still had a good time and will definitely watch this film again in the future. Recommendations. If you enjoyed Wreck-It Ralph, then you will find some enjoyment here, although maybe not as much as the first film. Additionally, if you are looking for a fun, family-friendly adventure with some nice moral lessons, then this film is worth the trip. There is plenty of humor and entertainment here for all ages. However, the young crowd might get a little bored with some of the more emotional and conversation-heavy scenes. Also, it is worth mentioning that you don't have to be up on all the internet jargon to enjoy this film, but you do need to have a basic understanding of it to get the most out of it. In the end, it is a solid follow-up to the first film, and I believe there is some enjoyment here to be found for everyone. Thanks for watching, I hope you liked it. If you did, leave a like. If you want to see more, please subscribe. I'm Professor Kino, and I look forward to our next discussion.